Tell me, what do you think about sending troops to Vietnam?
Oh, I think it's a good idea. I think all countries should participate and help each other like that.
Well, if it's going to protect Australia, I think it's worthwhile.
I think it's got to be done. I haven't got any choice at this stage.
War correspondents have been properly accepted for the very important role they played. Nurses, Salvation Army, everybody who served in Vietnam has been welcomed with open arms.
That's right. The parade being led here, as you see, by the Vietnam veterans who returned disabled, some of them blinded, but they're clearly in great shape today. It's the men whose service has resulted in a lifelong disability. For them, perhaps more than all others in this parade, this is the moment in which the cost that they paid in service to their country is justifiably recognised. Today they travel proudly with their mates, acknowledging the cheers and greetings of the crowd.
Well, it's beginning now, and of course this parade couldn't have been organised without the full cooperation of the Australian Regular Army, which is taking a very important part in the fight.
My experience during the war, I didn't want to be there.
Didn't want to be there?
No, I was a conscript.
Okay, yeah.
In that I was called up in, I got my notice in the end of 1968, and I went into the army in April 1969 as a conscript.
Awesome. Over 15,000 men were sent to Vietnam due to conscription. The controversial process was introduced in 1964 and involved compulsory national service for 20-year-old males under the National Service Act of 1964. The selection of conscripts was made by a lottery draw based on the date of birth, and conscripts were obligated to give 2 years continuous full-time service, followed by a further 3 years on the active reserve list. This means 1/4 of the Australian soldiers who fought in Vietnam didn't choose to be there. So do you or any of your friends have any long-term effects from the war?
I have PTSD.
PTSD?
So does Peter.
Okay.
It was diagnosed in 1996.
Oh.
And I've been seeing a psychiatrist since then, the same guy.
Okay.
And it's become a good friend.
Yeah. So it's helped you along the way to...
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you don't know you've got it until someone tells you.
Of course, yeah. Okay. How's that like living with that? Is it a struggle? Or?
Not now. Not when you can talk about it like you can with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah.
20 years ago I couldn't have done this.
Yeah.
They were the night sweats, the headaches, the alcohol abuse.
Yeah.
You don't. It doesn't occur to you what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But they say that's what caused it.
Yeah.
I'm just open to the advice that I'm given.
That's awesome.
And I take my medication accordingly.
Okay, yeah, well, that's good how far you've come, that's good. Did some of your friends suffer from more than others, or?
One close friend, unfortunately, he suicided in 2012.
Okay.
He just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is very sad, and it came to a big shock to all of us, because he was a close friend.
Yeah.
So, yes, there are some people that maybe for the grace of God go I sort of thing, you know.
Yeah. PTSD is defined as a condition of persistent mental and emotional stress occurring as a result of injury or severe psychological shock, typically involving disturbance of sleep and constant vivid recall of the experience, with dull responses to others and to the outside world. Australia sent 60,000 young men to Vietnam. They left their homes and fought a war that would change them forever. 3/4 of these veterans are now classified by the DVA as suffering from health impact as a result of serving. The long-term health consequences include fertility issues, cancers, birth defects due to defoliants such as Agent Orange, skin cancer from the harsh sun, lung cancer from smoking, hearing loss from lack of ear protection, osteoarthritis, back pain, respiratory conditions, hypertension, and heart disease due to the stressful environment they were placed in. 45% of veterans have reported some form of mental illness, with 30% of Vietnam veterans suffering from PTSD. This severe mental trauma has meant that many veterans have turned to substance abuse with gambling, alcohol, and drug addictions, all making an impact. 41% of Vietnam veterans have reported to drink some form of alcohol on a daily basis. The families of these soldiers aren't exempt from this severe trauma either. Birth defects such as cleft palate and lip and spina bifida maxima are much more common in the children of Vietnam veterans, along with various cancers linked to defoliants. The families of Vietnam veterans have also been found to experience higher levels of mental illness themselves, with suicide levels up to 3 times higher than the rest of the Australian population. How were you treated when you returned back?
I was very disappointed with the way we were treated.
Okay.
By the public in general, not by family or anything like that. But you've got to remember that I came back from Vietnam in 1970 when the moratoriums were probably pretty well at their peak. And the treatment we got was extremely disappointing. And the way we were treated in the street, the way the press reported things. My brother was also called up in the end of 1972. But I think it's the only time my mother's ever voted Labor, because the It's Time election and Gough Whitlam got in on the promise of ending conscription and bringing all the troops home from Vietnam. We weren't allowed to wear our uniforms to work, as we called it then. I was in Victoria, but I had still had a couple of months to go after 2 years. No serving member that was working at Victoria Barracks, they used to wear their civvies to work and get changed.
Was that for security reasons and stuff?
Yeah, just the way we were treated. Public transport, walking in the street, whatever.
Cool. Were you shocked by the reaction of the community at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all felt that we'd done what we were asked to do. We'd gone and served, not willingly in my case, but you did your job. And when you come home, what do you get? When you tried to join an RSL, for instance, I was told it wants to be RSL. Well, you weren't in a real war. You felt very let down. But it's all turned now. Look at you guys. You don't know, and I've said that every interview I've had today, it is such a cathartic experience, the way you guys respond. And you see it on Anzac Day, you see it on Remembrance Day, and you guys are credited, Scouts, you really are.
We love it. We love supporting you guys. So
it's obvious.
It's a big part of our schooling, so it's good. On arrival home in 1973, returning Vietnam soldiers were treated with a severe amount of disrespect. The US and Australian media had televised the horrors of Vietnam, causing the population to wrongfully see the Australians who fought as baby killers and home wreckers. Returning Vietnam soldiers weren't considered real veterans, and as a result were turned away from RSLs. Many of the veterans were struggling with mental health upon arrival home, making the negative and disrespectful attitude of the public very harmful. It wasn't until 12 years later, the 3rd of October 1987, that a Welcome Home Parade took place, which was attended by 25,000 veterans. This was a sign of the changing views and acceptance of the veterans for the war that they had served in. It was well overdue, and the veterans finally got the respect and recognition they deserved. It is important to reflect on the horrors faced by our Australian veterans 46 years on. So what sort of recognition would you like now?
I'm having it right now. Thanks. This is it. Thank you.